I'm kind of glad you're between me and Mike. I don't want those death stares.
Yeah, you're gonna get slapped.
You're gonna get a sunburn on one side of your head.
I'm so glad that's so articulated.
So articulate.
It's like I can make all sorts of rude gestures in the sci-fi fashion.
And the other one's like a StarCraft Space Marine gauntlet.
I love that I can just do this with this hand.
Now
So-
pick.
It's gotta be like this big around.
Hey, Mike. Pick this up.
Mike has problem picking stuff up with the gauntlet.
Cheater! What is this garbage? Cheater!
You gotta do it. You gotta put it on the other way, babe. No, it's
This is the panel, by the way. Watching him try to pick up a coin with his gauntlet, this is the panel. Welcome.
Fuck off.
Here you go, buddy. Yeah,
So is that pretty much everybody?
pretty much.
All right.
Right on.
All right.
Thank you.
It
So,
is a intimate venue.
I think we're good to start.
Sure.
All right.
Welcome,
Ladies
welcome.
and gentlemen, welcome back to the D20 Live RPG 101 panel. Also known as that panel where you ask us all as many questions as you like about tabletop, about us, about our opinions of things. Now, we have a PowerPoint presentation that we actually started test driving at YetiCon. If you like, we'll go through that. If not, we can go straight to the questions. It's up to you. So, who wants to see the PowerPoint? Cheer.
That sounds
Who
pretty affirmative
wants
to me.
to just straight up ask us questions?
Nobody.
Chilling.
cool. We got a PowerPoint.
Bone freaking chilling.
They're
It's
not
like
here for you. It's like I heard
here
there was
for
a
we're here for
PowerPoint
Sam's
presentation.
fantastic PowerPoint.
I heard
It
there was
is
a
her
PowerPoint.
moment.
Is that not here?
Yeah,
Of course, we should introduce
Invoke
ourselves.
the old
I'm
gods of
Mike.
PowerPoint.
I'm Sam, the production manager.
I'm Jordan. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Hey, everybody, I'm Dave.
And Tyler,
Shut up,
the guy
Tyler.
over there. He's got our camera.
Who said you could speak?
Get back in your crate.
All right. So we do have a PowerPoint presentation. If Frank, if you could switch over the thing to our.
It already is.
It already is.
Is it? No,
This is our-
because that's our logo, but not the thing that's showing
I
on
see
screen.
I see the desktop stuff on the bottom
So-
there.
Is it an extended screen?
It's
Go to the right or the
somebody's
left.
logo. It's our logo. I just don't know.
Yeah, it's your computer. It's extended screen.
Oh, it's extended screen.
Is it? Oh, is it really? Oh, Jesus. Okay, give me a second.
It's all good. If we got
I love how you had it just slowly creeping over.
I only have a mouse pad.
I'm pretty sure this is how PowerPoint presentations are supposed to go. Like, what screen is that? I don't know.
It's not going over to the main screen, which sucks. Hang on. I need to fix this.
We are professionals.
While I
We're,
fix
we're
this.
still technically 6 minutes ahead,
Yeah, this is.
so we're actually doing
Getting-
pretty
we're
good.
getting ready
Settings.
still.
I think I bum rushed you a little too fast, Sam.
You did. I needed to test.
So how
things.
is everyone enjoying it, their convention weekend?
Yeah.
Thank you. How have many of you enjoyed last night? So, just by cheers, do you prefer
Well,
us doing this panel on the Friday night or now on the Sundays? We'd like to know. So Friday night,
Well,
Sunday.
That's true.
it's better.
All right, so that's
That's a
pretty.
few more than
Low
two.
key Saturday, Sunday afternoon kind of thing, just kind of easing into it.
Got it
Good
working.
So,
Yay.
before we begin, Sam and I have a little condition for people. We are very much aware that you are all very, very, very happy that we got engaged. So,
We've been stopped like 16 times on the way here.
like last night, tonight, just today, just walking around. So, if you, we imagine some of you are going to come up and ask us questions and probably congratulate us while you're coming up, which we welcome and invite. But just so if you all would like to congratulate us and just get it going, just on 3, 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much. We were happy to share it with all of you.
It's adorable.
All right. So, welcome to the D20 Live RPG 101 and Q&A panel. gods. This is almost exactly like what happened at YetiCon. So, unfortunately, I have a lot more. I upgraded the PowerPoint.
You upgrade the PowerPoint. It's your presentation, Sam.
All
We'll
right.
just add on as you see fit.
So, the golden rule of role playing. This is the beginning of your journey. You're going to make mistakes.
And that's a really important rule that every single person needs to learn, because we frequently, each and every one of us, have seen game masters who are like, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to run 24-hour tabletop streams, I'm just going to go, I don't need to learn skills, I'm just going to hit it, and that is very much not the case. The person you are today does not reflect when you first start tabletopping, doesn't represent the person you're going to be 5 years down your journey, 10 years down your journey. As long as you are with this hobby, you are going to continually grow and evolve, and you'll look back and you'll scream at the things you've done or allowed to happen at your table. Yep, every time.
All right. The important things of being a player. For some reason, it's still the first one.
Why did you leave it there?
Because I was tired. You made me do this when I had a sinus infection, pink eye, and I was on like 3 hours of sleep for a whole week.
I didn't make you do this. I reminded you. I reminded you it had to be done because you didn't do it beforehand. But yeah, what a lot of what are you two chuckleheads fucking doing
Just
over
watching
there?
you have a relationship.
How about you screw off?
We're clearly just.
Would you like to
chuckleheading.
contribute to any of the bullet points?
We can't see them over your head.
Yeah. Over,
Thank you.
through, under.
Improv techniques.
Improv.
You both are a pack of hellacious
You
fuckwits.
keep swearing
know
to
that?
tell
You
me
keep asking
teach
me to come
improv
back.
techniques.
Because now you guys go, you don't practice improv, you jackass, to my face.
What?
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yes, and
exactly. That's it exactly. The most key rule you will learn, people throw me off. Why did I invite you two up here? Is learn to say the one phrase, yes and. Yes and is a key improv technique. And what it means is you are accepting what your fellows are offering within the moment of which you are role playing. That doesn't mean you accept every terrible idea they have that makes you uncomfortable. It means they also accept the limitations that you have. Guys.
what?
Nothing.
I behave myself on the whole.
How dare you lie to the fans?
70% of the time.
I act out to make myself seem more interesting.
Sad.
That was funny and then sad.
All right, so the next one. Communication. It's super important, guys, that you can all communicate with everybody, including your GM and your other players, because like it or leave it, you guys are going to be in a room together for like 4, 5, 12 hours at a time. So it's best that you can actually talk to each other. That was a really hard lesson to learn.
Yeah.
I feel like if you can't be stuck in an elevator with the people that you're role playing with, you probably shouldn't be role playing with them.
Oh yeah. The what is it? The 2-minute interview of going up or 2-minute pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, the elevator. Well, no, if you can't be stuck in an elevator with somebody, you probably shouldn't be hanging out with them.
Oh my God! If I was stuck
See,
in an
I wouldn't-
elevator with you three,
We have been stuck in an elevator
yes,
before.
we have.
Oh God, we have been. I blocked that
It was
out.
6 hours. We played cards.
Yeah, we did.
There were 11 people.
We started singing.
We did sing for a while.
Well, that was to initially get the elevator tech on site.
Yeah.
Annoy the floor we're around and get them to call for help.
Anyway,
All right,
Anyway.
next one.
Rolling forward.
Don't be a dick. Let everybody play.
it's important that you let everyone at your table have a chance to speak, to interact with each other, and to enjoy the tabletop experience. Otherwise, it's just going to be chuckleheads yelling and dominating the moment. And that is a big part of accepting and saying yes and saying how those people want to contribute.
Absolutely. It's really easy to want to be the center of attention for a scene because you are your character and you want to play your character. But then you have to kind of remember that you can be part of, like, if another player is having a main scene of their own, you can be part of that scene, like a sub-character or like a part of the plot, the part of something that drives the plot. And you don't always have to be the center of attention at any given moment, which is something that I have had to learn.
I had to learn it. I had to learn it too.
Yeah.
I'm learning it again because of the fact that Devin keeps throwing plot at me, and I love it. But the problem is that I feel like I'm overshadowing everybody, which makes me feel like an awful, awful person. So I'm like, can we get through my plot really quickly, guys, so that way we can get back to other people doing plot?
Well, in that particular situation, in that game, we enjoy being a lot of the vehicle for the plot that he gives you.
I know.
So it's a much better way to go about things by holding other people up than standing on people to make yourself more important, I guess. If that makes sense?
Oh, that makes sense. All right, next point. Please be mindful of everybody's boundaries. This is super important because we now live in the age of boundaries and not crossing them, and a bunch of making sure that everybody is okay. So if you have a problem with somebody, tell them. Just say, hey, you did this thing and it hurt me. Please don't do it again. At which point the other person should be like, oh, I'm so sorry. And if they don't do that, then they're a dick and don't play with them. Did you guys have anything else to say about that or no?
No.
All right.
You usually tell stories about some of the experiences you've had.
I
We just
see.
tell each other to fuck off.
Pretty much, yeah.
for the most part,
Openly
yeah.
like, hey, can you just go fall down a well or something? Like,
Do you want me to
But
tell
yeah,
a story like really quickly?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, well, I had a character at one. I was in a part of a group at one point where the GM did not accept the fact that I had boundaries because I said, "Hey, I'm not comfortable with X thing." Whereas one of my characters, because I play female characters, and it was a group of all guys, unfortunately. At which point it was like, oh, well, we want to see that the character gets naked. And I'm like, I'm not okay with that, guys, because, that's just not cool. And he's like, cool, we're going to force you to be naked, and we're going to tie you up and ritualistically kill you. And I'm like,
Hey, what now?
how about we don't do that?
ew.
So, and he's like, oh, it's okay, someone will save you at the last second. And I'm like, I didn't want to be in this situation in the first place. Thank you very much.
That's a weird reinforcement of like ancient stereotypes.
I know,
you
right?
That's weird.
Because she came down and she started hanging out with us.
Yeah.
And we're just like, yeah, you are a woman. We don't care.
Doesn't really affect
That
anything.
does. Yes, you do whatever you like.
Exactly,
We have
guys
been.
can get tied up
We get
naked.
excited.
I
It's
don't want to talk
fun.
about it. This isn't
It's
the
like,
right forum
finally,
for
I
this.
feel like a pretty girl.
I think this is one of my boundaries.
Maybe I want to be swept up
Yeah.
and rescued. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, and the last point. Communication! Again! It's super important, guys.
Very important. Like a lot of people don't seem to forget in a lot of stuff like this is it's not the players versus the DM, and it's not the DM running this fucking battle arena for the players. Like you're a team. Everyone is together in trying to get through the story and tell like this adventure in the best way that you can. So it's in everyone's best interest to be a group with a set amount of goals to be through the story.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys want to run a brutal PvP bloodbath, that's on you, I guess.
But maybe sit down and hash out.
You gotta agree to that first, yeah.
How far are you willing to go? and-
It's a social contract. You have to you're there to play a game. It's a game.
Yeah.
You also have a system that is conducive to that.
Yes.
Yeah, and then what is it? Feedback intermissions.
Yep, those are super important too.
If you're treading fresh waters, then maybe get feedback as you're going.
All right, the important things of being a game master. Oh, I forgot that happened.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Awesome. 1993, I remember you well.
Game design versus narrative design. I actually put down subplot points
Oh my
here.
God.
It's all cool now.
Game design versus narrative. What does that mean, Sam?
Okay, so when you're running a game as a game master, there are two prominent ways of running a game. There's the way of game design of designing it like a video game, where everything is,
Do you want me to explain this?
Yes, please. You can explain game
This
design
is
better than
closer
I
to
can.
my approach, where rather than having a set section of plot points, I have a series of environments for which the players interact in. The reason why I go by game design theory over narrative theory is because of the fact that I cannot anticipate. There is an element of the narrative of which I do not control, and that is the players.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I can't control what they'll do. All I can do is create the environment in which they'll interact with, and occasionally have little trigger moments that go off that move the narrative forward.
Yep.
But the entire philosophy comes from me seeing this as how they interact with everything.
So you're a big fan of the rule of cool too, right?
Oh, very much so.
Yeah, if you can justify it by making it fucking awesome, you'll generally let it slide.
Oh, I've let too much slide with you guys.
Let too much?
So you
Or
determine
just
the
enough
middle,
to
Just
make
think
yeah.
it
it's too much.
awesome?
So narrative design is basically where you have a set plot that you want the players to follow, but the thing is that you kind of make everything a little bit more modular, so that way no matter where the players decide to go, plot will find them. So there's two different ways of doing it. There's two different ways of making a game, and it's really just up to your preference of which one that you want to do. I prefer narrative design because I really like having a lot of NPCs that I can use anywhere, whereas Mike likes to just throw people into the shit or not anticipate anything and hope that they go find the plot, and then when they go inevitably into the garbage dump, then he's
the toilet.
or skip the entire fucking thing.
There's another way too. I think from what I understand, how Devin tends to do it, which is another GM that we regularly have here, is that he lets it kind of go like you do, but there's certain, like he starts it off kind of funneled and it opens up as you go. And he has sort of like a stable of NPCs he just kind of flops in and out as need be. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that's also really
Devin
helpful,
likes
too.
to mix it up. He likes to go like half and half sometimes. He says he's narrative. We're like, yes, but sometimes you watch us go as we run around in a garbage dump, and you wonder what we're doing here.
Well, sometimes you need to grind on the giant rats.
Sometimes, it's classic, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to cut down all the trees in the forest to bleed them for sap to make a bomb.
Hey, sometimes you need wall chicken.
All right, so the failure and changing the narrative.
Yeah. So here's a quick question to all of you. What do you think, you could just say it out loud, what do you think constitutes a failure in a tabletop game? Wow. That's actually really different, because usually the common answer I've gotten when I've asked this question is death, but not having fun is actually a really good one. A lot of people, and it's a narrative that's slowly being broken, is the idea that death is basically a sign of failure, and it's not. Death is basically losing your save file, if you put it in video game terms. Whereas what constitutes failure within a tabletop narrative can really just not appear as failure, but simultaneously be an action for moving forward. For example, if you've seen some of the other panels I've done, you know this story. I run a Pendragon game Wednesday nights with a group of friends of mine. And during this particular game, one particular round, they all got really badly injured. And I chose at that point to take them out of combat, and to them that was a failure state because they could no longer interact with the environment nor move their narrative forward. They were just watching it happen passively.
It was 6 months in-game time that we didn't do anything because we
Yeah.
were all brutally injured.
Yeah. And that was my mistake. What I later realized was I could have kidnapped every last one of them, and then what was a failure state becomes new gameplay opportunities for them that can actually transform their experience and their narrative, but it's still technically a failure state.
But yeah, also Pendragon is a wildly mortal game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the concept of your character dying in that game is a frequent fucking occurrence.
That's why we refer to our in-game children as save games.
Oh yeah. You need at least 6 or 7 of them. That's why you have to get married as soon as possible and then just start pumping out babies.
It's just how it is. Yeah, your character dying is an integral part of that game. Like you have to expect it at some point.
Yeah.
And we don't name the kids until they reach 10 because there's mechanics where the winter could take them.
Child 6, well done.
Yeah.
All right.
So-
And again, the most important thing for being a game master is communication. Because
What does that mean? Can we recap?
it's super important for the GM to talk, especially to your players, especially because of the fact that you're the one who's got this. Good job, Jordan.
Thanks, Water Nation.
I'm an adult.
Your
So
first D20 Live headlining panel at a con.
I gotta establish dominance somehow.
Fair enough.
So it's super important for the GM to actually talk to the players, especially because of the fact that the players are the ones who are running through your story, it's very important to you that they also are having fun. You can't just go around and be like, you can't go around expecting to have the players go one way, and then when the players decide to go another way, you go, no, you have to do this. And it's like, well, obviously they want to go in this other direction. They're not getting something out of the thing that you want them to do. So try and be more malleable and can actually talk to your players and figure out where they want to go.
What the shit is going on in the room next to us?
It's the
Nerf arena.
the Nerf
Oh my-
run.
How is it every time we've done this panel, there's been a louder room right next to
War.
us?
I don't know.
War never changes.
Yeah, at least it wasn't wrestling like last
It was
year.
active wrestling last time.
Oh, there was.
Okay.
That was awesome.
All right. So resources
Peace
for
was never
RPG
an
rule
option.
sets and settings. We have a very long list.
Oh,
What?
dang.
So, one of the biggest
Whoa.
complaints I've ever heard about tabletop is, Mike, I want to play tabletop, but
You
shit's
are-
too expensive.
you
So
are
I
the
decided to
biggest
shut people up by looking up by both me and my Discord, looking up every single free RPG resource we could find
And if not free, extremely cheap.
Can I get a copy of that?
Yes.
on the Discord.
Oh, by the way, we have a Discord if anyone wants to come hang out sometime.
So yes, you guys can take pictures of this if you want. This is totally okay because
Or you can
all
join our
these-
Discord. 'cause
Or you
it's
can join our
pinned.
Discord and you can get a link into it automatically. But yeah, so most of these are free. A lot of them are like, because like Pathfinder that's the PFRSD. That's completely free. It's all the books on one giant website. What's another one that we've got in here?
The Fates pay what you want.
Yeah, Fate is pay what you want. You've got like Delta Green, which is a drive-through RPG. Drive-through RPG is your best friend because they will give you PDFs for very low prices.
I'm getting
Also,
the
bundle holding's really nice.
I'm getting the
like
Delta Green slipcover set like Wednesday.
I like the vaguely Russian accent on very low prices.
Very low prices.
So,
Glory greatest, yes.
Nedojve. And Das Vidania 2.0.
So that's the end of our presentation. We're going to leave that up. So it's time for all of you to ask us questions. So please kindly line up at the microphone. We
Yep,
will
we have a
answer
floor
as many
mic.
of your questions as we can. If you want to come up multiple times, we can, and we'll go until it's time
You can ask,
for us to GM the
you can
audience.
ask Mike questions and then I attempt to Shanghai them the entire time.
Yep, role-playing questions about us.
Hello.
Hello.
Hang
Oh
on.
dear.
You guys at the back.
Tyler.
It's not his
Tech
fault.
guys.
I don't know whose fault it is. I'm just yelling at
Floor
Tyler.
mic. Is that an actual guy?
There's a guy right
Is he
there.
asleep?
No.
Hey, Wally.
Hey, buddy. What did I say that? That was weird.
It's set to frequency 151, whatever that means.
Oh, check it now. Check.
Test, test, test.
Yay!
Way to go, Tyler.
That's all. All right.
I give blame and praise in equal amounts.
First and foremost, hi.
Yeah.
Hi. Could you post that online or something?
It
like
is
a power-
posted online.
We have it in our Discord.
Gotcha.
It's
So-
on the RPG book discussion part of our Discord.
Yes.
It's the pinned
Right.
document at the top.
Is there a link to your Discord anywhere I could find?
I'm
If you
going to
go,
make one right now.
every single one of our videos has a link to our Discord. So
It's in the comments.
yeah, so you just go in the description. You'll find the link there, and you can go immediately to there.
All right, cool. Another question, actual question. So I don't know if any of you have noticed, but it seems like in the last 2-3 years, RPGs as a concept have gone from like, any kind of niche thing to like astonishingly mainstream.
Yeah.
Do you have any sort of opinion on that, or any sort of like
I have
reasoning as to
complicated
why?
opinions on that.
He has
I think
many
it's-
and varied opinions.
I think it's pretty cool, honestly, but like I want to hear like an old guard's opinion, sort of.
All right.
called you an old.
Should I go last on this one? I would like to hear everyone else's opinion before I weigh in
Yeah,
for
all
10
right.
hours.
Also, can I have a bottle of water? I'm very thirsty.
You're welcome.
350.
So what do you guys think?
Do you want to go first?
What?
What is your opinion on how popular tabletop RPGs are going?
Oh,
as
I
of
love
late?
it. I think that RPGs are a great learning tool. They're great getting people together, developing skills.
Yep.
The rife amount of them
It's also awesome.
is fantastic because you've got an RPG for damn near everything. Like at the con today, I picked up SCP Breakout.
Fuck, I love
for
SCP.
SCP creatures and all the nutty crap there.
I'm excited.
And Emberwin, a modular RPG. This is just like a fluff book, and all of their stuff is available online for free.
We're not sponsored by these people, but we definitely would like to be.
No, you paid for all those books, right?
I super did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm just saying, there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's My Little Pony RPGs.
We're
There's
not talking about
since when? Aw.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
I can't tell, he's so cool looking.
But I really enjoy the variety now. I'm waiting for Lancer to come out. And so yeah, that's me.
Cool.
Next.
I think it's great. I think that anything becoming mainstream makes it much more viable as a product for people to be able to purchase. I think it means that there's a lot more production that goes into it. There's a lot more people spending money on developing these things, which can never be a bad thing. I think it brings a lot more people together. You find a lot more social groups and stuff like that, where there wouldn't normally be. There's a lot more inclusion. There's a lot more just social development amongst people who may not have ever been able to have done so before. I think it's great. I think play pretend for adults is fucking awesome. Why wouldn't you loved it as a kid? Why wouldn't you love it now, right?
Yeah, use your imagination more. That's one of the things that really dwindles into adulthood.
It definitely is. Actually, it's been there's numerous studies done about it.
See, I've been doing this for 19 years, at which point I'm like really pissed off that the people when I was starting out, I'm like, oh guys, you should really get into this thing. It's called D&D and it's really cool. And they're all like, nah. And then like 2 years ago, they're like, hey Sam, you should really get into this thing called D&D. And I'm like, fuck you guys, how dare you? I've been doing this longer than you have.
That is a thing, yeah.
I'm incredibly happy that tabletop is growing in the way it is, because there's now a diversity of design, of experience that's coming out of the new materials. And while a lot of people are calling this the golden age of tabletop, I don't quite believe that we're at that place yet. I believe what we learn from this generation, all this experimentation we do to the next generation is going to be the thing. The thing that pisses me off to no end is absolutely no one knows about some of the best parts of tabletop's past, which drives me crazy.
Would you care to elaborate?
Yeah, the fact that everyone keeps talking about how 5th Ed is incredibly trans-inclusive and all of that, and there's absolutely nothing in those books that is towards that, and everyone forgets Exalted existed. Oh my God. If you wanted a system that is very much supporting other cultures, as well as all different kinds of sexual orientation, gender orientation, and you do not know what Exalted is, you'll look it up, and I guarantee you will love it.
Sorry, I wasn't laughing at the cultures and all that. I was laughing at you putting the glove on for
It
gesticulation.
feels
Just to gesture openly.
it's to make a point.
That's what I was laughing at.
All right, next question.
Yeah, come on up.
Yep.
Hello.
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 Whoa. So first of all, last night was amazing.
Thank you.
I thought it was hilarious, kind of funny. When Sam was like, "Oh, this is awkward," and I was just like, "Oh God, no." And I was like, "Oh no, the good type of awkward, the good type of awkward." But
We're calling it the counter proposal.
Gotcha. So my two questions. The first one's kind of quick, if that's okay.
Sure.
So for D20 Live next year, is like Canada getting nuked, or like what's going on?
Stop guessing.
I will never stop guessing.
It's not like I went through the Fallout wiki and was like, what do they call Toronto? Ronto. What do we know about Ronto? Nothing. Excellent. I love blank slates to play with things.
Sounds like that's
It's not like I
exactly
looked it
what
up
you
and
did.
said, well, wouldn't they only just bomb the southernmost part of Canada and leave the north alone? Yeah. How do I make Deathclaw bears?
Aren't they called Yao Guai? Yeah, they are. Ooh, big old Yao Guai.
I thought are they just like fuzzy death claws?
Radiation moose?
Oh.
9 feet tall beavers can eat through solid steel.
We somehow found it.
God help you in your power suit.
You know, the hardest part about figuring it out has been the system that I'm going to be using. And it's funny going on my Discord and watching everyone argue about what is the best system to do Fallout in.
Good time.
I just want you to
So
stat
what
the
is the
Irish
best
elk and
system?
find some way to
What
bring
was
it
that?
back.
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah.
So what is the best system to use for Fallout?
I don't know yet. But it looks like it's probably going to be D20 Modern with the Apocalypse add-on just to make my life easy. Unless, the thing is though, there is a Fallout tabletop RPG that's out now that works with the board game, which everyone says don't touch that. Consistently. The other one, there's a harder rules version coming out. My hope is it comes out for D20 Live next year and I have a chance to try it out. If it doesn't,
See, the thing is that now my biggest thing is that if we want to put up the video on YouTube for next year, we may have to not call it Fallout because Bethesda is a thing and they are very angry about people using the word Fallout. We're gonna
Makes it sound like a daycare can have it.
Wasteland. That might work.
Real
Here's what you do.
nondescript. I like
Here's what you
that.
do. You take
it's like, I'll
Fallout.
just be like, it's not Fallout.
Welcome to Fallout, not Fallout.
Not Fallout. Wink.
Suck it, Bethesda. Wink. This is better than 76. Wink.
Oh,
I can't believe it's
shots
not Fallout.
fired.
There you go. You
Shots
just take the
fired.
Fallout
Shots
logo
fired.
and then
It's
the
like
upper
shooting a
left,
corpse.
Nuclear.
Shots fired, Mike. Oh yeah, I was the first
That
one on
corpse
that one.
is still twitching, sir.
Anyway, did you have any other questions?
Yeah, second question. So just for like D&D in general, I'm a DM. I've made like a super massive homebrew world, like multiple continents, all that super extra jazz. But that does not equal a campaign, or like writing a world does not equal writing a campaign, and I've
Yeah.
realized that. So how do you go about doing that and making sure that I don't know, yeah.
For a campaign, it depends on what your world has to offer, really. I'm assuming if you've got a relatively fleshed out world, it'll have, I'm assuming, a fantasy world. That's just my guess.
Yeah, super high fantasy.
So there's got to be some kind of, well, if it's especially super high fantasy and you have this weird balance between the powers, something just has to go out of balance in a slight way. And there's two parts to your campaign. Is one, how do your players factor into it and how they become the major agents into this, even if they start at a very small place. Because I've said this before and I'll say this again, evil doesn't happen in a vacuum. An evil necromancer erecting his tower in the middle of a continent is not an isolated event. It affects the crops, it affects government, it affects everybody. And someone at the very lowest level is affected by that.
The
When he's
economy
bringing
went
the
to
pigs
shit.
I didn't have a problem with him killing the nobles, but man, my crops.
It's no, it's
And
no
sometimes that's enough.
Thank you.
But yeah, when he's bringing back the pigs, you know.
Yeah.
Hello, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
It's good. It's good. To go off this gentleman's question earlier, speaking of this year and next year, about adopting a system for a license or a world that has no RPG, what are your criteria?
Criteria?
Thank you. For picking, for mixing and matching for that, and what's one of the most versatile systems for that, that you've come across?
Right.
Do you have like a fallback one? If like I don't know.
Actually, it was in Masterminds. It's best because my thing is, my golden rule. I have two. One is how easily I can get players to the emotional reaction of the actions they want to take on, because there were many. There's actually systems that are literally built for Avatar. One is in the Apocalypse World engine.
Oh.
To this day, I don't understand how that engine works,
Oh, okay.
and that's if I don't understand it. How am I going to explain it to 4 other people
Who have never played the system.
who have never played the system
In up to like 15 minutes before the game.
before the game even? So that's kind of my go-to. And the other thing is, how easy is it to simulate what is in there with the least amount of steps in homebrewing for me, which for Mutants and Masterminds was apparently stupid easy. It's just, no gadgets, none of this shit, get out, none of you are going to have a battle suit, and hey, look, 4 source books, one for each of the fucking elements, and here's a martial arts one right there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it was conducive. A lot of you guys have seen me do stuff in Besom because it's conducive to a lot of the anime role-playing, but Besom is not conducive to any kind of bending at all. So,
It looks pretty.
That's so
but
close.
It's so close, but it's just like it's so also very very far away from where you want it to go. Yeah, a lot of the time when you're looking at stuff, try and not look at stuff that looks pretty. Look at the stuff that makes most mechanical sense. So, yeah, like especially when you were doing Mutants and Masterminds, because I was very surprised when you said, "Oh, I'm going to do it in Mutant Masterminds," and I'm like, "Why not Bessem?" And he goes, "Because if you read Bessem's thing about energy control, it's so vague. It's so vague, and you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, that doesn't make any sense." Whereas Mutants and Masterminds, it's like it's one roll for one power, and then you can add more, and that's it.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Have some goddamn chill over there. Jesus Christ.
I respect their passion for whatever it is that's happening over there.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey guys.
Hey.
So,
So, of all the characters you've ever played, like in personal games or on D20 Live
Yeah.
or the live streams, what characters have each of you played that you look back and you just can't help but cringe?
I'm going to answer from the.
Can I pass on question?
I know exactly what character that is.
Mike's Matthias?
Matthias
Oh,
does
wait,
not make
my
me
character.
cringe.
Makes the rest of us cringe.
Yeah, yeah.
I love Matthias. Oh my god, most
Fucking
cringe.
ninja. God damn it.
Who thinks he
Will
can do
not
damn
die.
near everything.
Because if he ever does, Michael roll a game. We're like, Matthias is back from the dead. What the fuck happened?
I
Now
love
he's an
Matthias.
undead ninja.
I love Matthias so much that one of my bards is because we have many games with Matthias in it, and my bard has fallen in love with him,
Of course.
and they're a couple, and it's disgusting on how cute they are.
Most cringy character I've ever played, because I'm trying to think.
Oh, I know mine.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I can't think of one. I need time.
I can't remember his name, but he was a gnomish samurai on a battle dachshund named
remember this
Scooch. I couldn't take him seriously.
One thing I've
And
learned
he was
is
my
that
character.
yeah. One thing I've learned is shit that I think is cringy, other people don't think is cringy, and so I'm like, I guess I'm falling back into this mud pit. One of them being the Spirit of the Century
Oh, no,
character
you
I
did
keep
say
getting
it.
roped into. Keep getting roped in. I made it as a fucking joke with a horrible German accent that I cannot do consistently, who is flamboyantly straight or something. I don't even know what's going on there. It was a joke, and I have had to play him 4 times now.
You're gonna have to play him again next Sunday.
Oh, I have to play him for the big thing,
Yep.
like the main
Yeah.
game, the game.
Yeah, till
So
we're
I'm
done
gonna be
game.
I'm gonna be playing an effeminate German noble from 1905.
His
With
name.
For what I'm assuming is going to be like 12 fucking hours.
With
His
ivory
name is
derringers.
Heinrich von Gaubenschwaben.
Heinrich von Gaubenschlaben.
It's great. I love Jordan's names for his characters. He always names them the fucking weirdest things. He made a maid. Her name is Nylon Bag. He couldn't figure anything out, and I'm like, this is great. I love it. I was like literally making a list, and I'm like, Jordan's characters, Nylon Bag. Okay.
I swear he named that after
Dwarfy von
something he looked at.
Dwarfennix. And I'm like, okay. Heinrich von Gaubenschlaben. Okay.
I named one character after just a thing I found on the table. Sometimes I get the people around me to just name my characters. I'm fucking terrible at it.
Well, you had a dwarf once.
Like,
that
what's
I'm
my
like,
character's name? They're like, James. And I'm like, fine.
No, he makes
got a
a
dwarf.
Japanese character. He makes a samurai, and he goes, "What's his name? Craig."
Craig. It's Craig the Samurai.
Craig
So yeah,
the
he has a
samurai.
disadvantage of having a gaijin name.
No,
Craig.
he believes it means a deep, like,
Oh, a crag.
Craig.
So what's
No,
yours?
it's Craig.
Sam?
Okay, I have, because I have a lot because of the fact that my brother can actually attest to this. We used to go and make D&D characters for fun, so we made the weirdest shit. One of the things that my brother made was a barbarian
Oh my god. Let's go.
dire bear. No, not dire bear. Werebear. Oh, he was a straight up fighter? He was a straight up fighter werebear. And then I'm like, you know what? I can top that. I'm going to make a ninja werewolf. And we're going to just have fun together. The problem is that we couldn't fight in anything because the challenge rating goes up when you make were characters. So it's like, hey, we're level 2. We are CR like 8 though. We can't fight in anything normal.
Okay, but the concept of like a ninja werewolf is fucking rad.
I remembered mine. So, years ago, before any of these guys started playing with me,
Let's
I was
go.
playing a game
Take me
with
on
Devin.
a journey.
Those
in
times
Mutants
don't
and
exist. We
Masterminds.
weren't
Would you
there.
shut up and let me tell this story, get it out of my system. And all this character was are any of you familiar with Kamen Rider at all?
Vaguely.
He was Kamen Rider Kabuto.
God damn.
The problem was, Kabuto, for those of you who don't know, Kamen Rider Kabuto, all he does is he speaks axiomatically about himself and how awesome he is and points to the sky. So he's just like, why did you do that? Because I, like the sun, must rise.
What?
That's all he would do.
That's gross.
Now, in the show, it sounds really dynamic and badass because it's said by a hot Japanese guy. It was being said by me, by not a really great group of people who were in a competition to see who was the greatest monster. So I'm trying very hard to be this somehow stoic badass, and it was just, I look back on it, it's the most embarrassing freaking thing. And thank you for making me dredge that up.
Thank you for dredging that up.
All right.
I
Thank you.
legitimately
pleasure.
thank you.
All right.
D&D, Cards Against Humanity edition.
Great question.
The bigger, blacker campaign.
So my question is, it's kind of a two-parter.
Sure.
What is your favorite monster design
Yeah.
in history, and what monster or creature design do you think they could improve on in future editions?
My favorite is the Iron Golem because it's just a walking Terminator.
You just like it because you threw it at the guys once and they didn't know what to do.
It has no feats, just has high numbers, and it punches things. I love it. It's so uncomplicated.
Very straightforward.
The one I think least designed is to this day the gelatinous fucking cube. I feel the gelatinous cube feels so tacked on to me. I feel like that's my thing.
Owlbear, all day, every day. Those things are awesome.
And
I
your least
mean-
favorite?
My least favorite shit. Dragons of all kinds. I think they're so lame.
Oh,
Sorry,
shots
you asked.
fired.
And yet I wear a dragon on my shoulder right now.
Sorry.
It's a Pokemon.
It's my
Yeah, it's
opinion.
called
I
dragon.
reserve the right to be wildly
Dragon
incorrect.
Dave, what's
Send it
yours?
that way.
Favorite.
That way? Sam?
Send it that way. I gotta think.
Okay, so for a creature that I actually really like, I really like Dampiers for some reason. I'm not sure why, because it just they really, I don't know. And I never get to do anything with a Dampier because nobody wants to. Because who wants to be in the emo vampire phase anymore? But
That's funny.
it was so interesting to go and look at it. Recently I was like, oh man, I really want to do something with Dampiers, and I'm like, I can't think of anything that's not Blade or Edward from friggin' Twilight,
Or now Alucard from
or now
Castlevania.
Alucard from
That is so
Castlevania.
deep, but I sparkle.
Right?
That's just Alucard with more steps.
And things
It's
that
a
I
tough
feel
hurdle
like
to get over.
things that I feel like that needs to be revamped. Goblins, for some reason, pop into my mind because goblins. The problem is, again, I read a comic online that I absolutely love, who is done by this wonderful, wonderful human being. Her name is Ellipsis, and the comic that she draws is Goblins, and yeah, that's the one with Min-Max. And I absolutely friggin' love that comic. It changed my opinion on what goblins should be, because they can be intelligent, absolutely diverse creatures, and everybody plays them as, we're gonna steal your toes. Ha!
Yeah, but that's fun.
To be fair, I also love that webcomic.
I don't want to lose my
absolutely
toes.
Good.
That's terrifying. I don't want to lose my toes.
I hope that answers your question.
Dave at the end there
And,
didn't answer it.
The Dave's got one.
Oh, Dave, sorry.
So what do you love the most?
What are those hyena beastmen? Gnolls. I love gnolls. They're so so much diversity there.
They're usually used as such goons, like throwaway monsters, but you can do so much with
You
them.
can make
if you want
such
to.
a tribal society with
Yeah,
them.
you could.
And
There's a lot of room there.
what I hate most.
I just think it needs the most work.
Or needs the most work.
Like, what's the like?
I was gonna say the one I hated the most, and that was.
Okay,
that,
go what?
Remember in Kingmaker, you threw out that penis monster at us?
Oh yeah. In the
Giant
second
purple worm.
Yeah, it's in the second module of
horrid.
Kingmaker. There's a weird thing that lives in the sea that shoots out a spray foam that is really sticky, and if you look up the module, you'll find that monster, and it's just it's a dick. It's a dick.
It's a giant.
just
Like he was
so bad.
describing it as
This huge veiny
PG-13,
purple thing
yeah.
with like eyeballs on it, and it's just got a
and
mouth.
its primary attack is to shoot white sticky foam at you. And I was like, what the? Why did you make a dick monster?
I didn't make
and
it.
He was
Ed
like,
Greenwood.
it's in the book.
Ed
And then he
Greenwood
showed us the
fucking made
picture.
Made it.
All right, thanks.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
First of all, how dare you make us all yell after what you did last night? My throat is still killing me. Second of all, I have two questions, one for Mike, one for the whole table.
Okay.
For Mike,
Yeah.
I know because you have like time constraints and stuff, I imagine that there might be some like streamlining of rules, removing long, complicated crap. So I would love to hear any insight, very briefly, on like what you use to sort of do that, like what process you would use to trim the fat and make something streamlined, quicker, easier for show, basically.
You're assuming a lot more thought into that process than there actually is. It's more of, because what I do is I try to cram this. It's not. There's two ways I trim the fat. One is I hardcore grind and memorize the rule set and make my own GM screen, so I can just go done, and then that's it. That's usually the best way because the GM is the one usually processing most of the rules within a system. The other thing I do is I get really simple fucking systems to make my life easier.
Okay, and the second one, it's actually kind of related to that, ironically, because I'm going to ask the whole table where you fall on the scale, and like this is for personal games, not like for
Yeah.
the internet show-off game, but in your personal games that you play for fun, what do you prefer for systems? Do you prefer something that's very sort of rule-heavy, crunch, lots of development and game mechanics, or do you prefer something that's really light, fluffy, rules-light, and concept-driven? And that's for all of you.
I can go first if you guys want to take a minute. Sure. I love fluff. I love fluff so much. My favorite system that we just recently found out is called
Lasers and Feelings,
Lasers-
or is it New Type?
both of them. Both of them are great. So they're both one-page RPGs that you can find online. They are so much fucking fun because Lasers and Feelings is you have one stat. It's either lasers or feelings. So if you're more into the technical kind of thing, like if you're more a pilot or an android or whatever, you are more into the lasers. But if you...
How do you even do anything in that game?
It works
It's
somehow.
so much fun. It's like literally the stat is between like you have a stat between 2 and 6. Sorry, is it
5.
Sorry, 2 and 5. So either you either have 2 or 5 in your lasers or feelings, and then you just run around in space and you just do whatever. Most of the time, it's fighting space pirates who got something that you want to stop them from doing or
Okay, now I'm
stealing or
interested.
doing anything. And
Set
then new
phasers
type.
for love.
We
That was
actually
it. That was
had
in there.
Oh
They
my
stole
god.
Zap Brannigan's car.
It was great.
With sensual velour.
It
No,
actually-
the AI was sensual. It orgasmed every time they turned it on.
Oh
great.
no.
So, and then another like new type is so much fun because basically you make a giant robot out of syllables. You have 10 syllables to make your giant robot out of, and it's just
Were you in that?
it's so much fun because basically like you can make different types. So like you go, well, you have the attack, right? So it goes rocket punch. That's 3 syllables. But the thing is that there's also a thing that says that you can modify your attack. So you can go, hey, I've got like a thruster kick. That's 3 syllables. But I've got like, we're in space. So does that mean can I spin? So spinning thruster kick. And then Mike goes, but is that part of your actual thing? So I'm like, no. And he goes, well, it's another syllable. And I'm like, why are you making yourself harder? Why are you making this harder for you, Mike? And he's like, I don't know. Just do it. So it's spinning, thruster, kick, them. It's even greater because the thing is that you can make up also new names for it too. So you go tornado, spinning, thruster, kick, them. And that's how many dice you roll. It's per syllable. It's
That's funny.
great.
But yeah, you also have to balance it between offense and defense. So I had like 40 millimeter, and then vortex shield. Because I was making a Titan from Titanfall.
So Dave, what's yours, if you don't mind me asking?
Sorry?
Do you like it more rules heavy or
oh,
more
yes,
less
rules.
fluffy heavy?
I like crunch when the crunch makes sense. But if I'm brain dead from a week of working, I just like, okay, I go do the thing. Can I do the thing? What do I roll to do the thing? Thanks, bud.
Tom, count my dice.
It happens a lot.
Yeah.
I make Tom count my dice.
We make
And then
Tom pick up
there's
the dice.
Pathfinder, where what are we? 13th level?
I don't know, something like that.
And I am a ranger, and I am a howitzer of arrows. So I'm like, okay, how many d6s? 8?
19.
Oh boy, here we go. Cracker, 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 cracker. Ha! Shit.
4 billion.
And well, I just backed Lancer, and that is crunch heavy. I love it.
I think I'm largely the same. I like rules. I like to build characters. I like to, I enjoy combat in RPG games. I really enjoy the strategy involved. I love seeing how much dice I get to roll if I manipulate stuff as much as I can. I wouldn't say that I min-max because I think that's cheap as hell, but I enjoy I find that's where I really discover a lot of the camaraderie is backing up people, flanking, doing this and that and the other thing. So I really like system. Honestly, I love Pathfinder. It's probably my favorite. I am still convinced that I could do an Avatar game in Pathfinder. I could figure it out.
I actually would agree.
Like just taking an axe to most of the core system, but I can do it.
As for me, I'm very picky about both my fluffy and my crunchy systems. To me, it's the question of how many steps does it take to get me to the outcome I want. And if there's a good elegance to those rule set, it can be as crunchy as hell. Because Pathfinder and Pendragon are incredibly crunchy systems, and I love them to bits because of all the tables, but I know the core mechanic and it can facilitate most of my actions. Yeah. Whereas something simple like Besim or Mutants and Masterminds, which are very light, but again, elegant. I've seen light systems that piss me off, categorically.
I don't know if I describe Mutants and Masterminds as light, considering how much math you have to do.
You only roll one die, that's the thing.
Yeah, but you have to do all the math of character building and
Fair enough.
points.
Then how about for me, Spirit of the Century, which is a very light system, which I adore, but I despise the Fate core books so much because it so badly explains how it works.
That seems to be where you get hung up the most.
Oh my God, if it's badly explained.
Poorly written, it's just like, get this shit out of here.
People are like, Mike, you should read Masks. I'm like, I don't need to be that angry.
Shadowrun?
Depends on the edition.
Yeah.
Depends on the edition.
Then there's the Atomic Robo in the Fate system, where it's
I haven't
like
read that one yet.
the only way you can explain high science is like, okay, Fate system.
Yeah.
Ha!
All right.
2 pluses?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Also, congratulations again, and also, I still hate you because my throat will take weeks to recover.
Sorry. So will mine.
Chamomile tea with some honey.
Okay, just a show of hands. Did people really think I was going to say no?
What?
Like, it's half and half there.
There was a collective gasp.
They're all like, you threw that cabbage at him really hard, Sam. It was really half and half there.
Sacrifices for the bit.
All right.
Okay. Well, I am interested that Mike has basically made a lame version of Escanor from Seven Deadly Sins. I've got players who are so paranoid about every single thing that I bring attention to that they're now basically trying to destroy everything I bring attention to.
Now this book is lovely. It was in the finest Corinthian leather, brass fittings. I kill the book.
Well, they catch it on fire.
That too.
Oh boy. So,
Sometimes,
you're
Mike.
asking of how to fix that?
The latest thing that just happened is they basically came across a situation where they were trying to get into a bad guy's lair, and a hobo came over and said, "I can help you get there," and they killed the hobo
Oh, damn it.
because they thought he was going to
that's-
rob them.
That's a
Now
real
who's the
sit-down
murder
talk kind
hobo?
of thing you have to have at that point.
I mean-
because you can either try and scheme out what it is they will never destroy, which is different for every single person and group, or you can just sit down and say, "Hey guys,
You cannot kill everyone.
we're running out of people, and I'm running out of voices. May I ask?
Accents.
May I ask why you guys like burning Earth every single time you go?"
Actually, they gave me an answer to that.
What was that?
When I asked them about this, they said, "Well, you are the DM that basically went and gave us vampire flowers in one room, and in the very next room, there was flowers that looked exactly like them, only a different color. And when we burnt them, we burnt our treasure."
Oh.
Ouch.
Oh, still.
Apparently so.
Maybe respond to the
I don't
murder
know how to
with
answer that. That's well.
I feel like you just kind of have to make them aware that by murdering literally everybody, all they're doing is shooting the story in the foot. Like they're just eventually there's just gonna be nowhere for them to go.
Well, make them the bad guys.
Yeah, you can
You
can
can always
actually
make them bad guys.
Yeah.
Also, what works? You just killed like 40 people. You're going to jail, son.
They also literally tried to, they literally basically attacked a detective that wasn't necessarily against them.
Yeah.
And now he is against them and actively looking to imprison them.
You can okay before they say that they do these things. If they're not rolling right away, you can go, "Okay, so are you sure you really want to do this?" Because of the fact that you can just make say like make an insight check or make it just perception it or like sense motive, like just make a big thing about like. They're not the bad guy, guys. It's okay to trust them. I am not all evil, right? It's just, you can try and make an emphasis on, like, it's okay to trust. It's all right. And then throw vampires at them later.
Or run them through a game of Ryotama where you're actively all working together. It's more of a co-op thing than a PvE thing.
They liked it, Dave.
What?
They liked your answer.
The next room, like, your answer.
Neat.
Just people yelling from next door.
Oh, neat. Okay, sorry. I was oblivious.
Honestly, it sounds like they really want to run an evil campaign. You could try looking at that. If they really like just straight up murdering innocents.
And,
You could go anti-paladin. You could be like a thiefy assassin rogue. You can do all sorts of stuff.
You can literally be working for the evil god of evil. Go ahead, have fun. As long as everyone's consenting to it.
I loved Dungeon Keeper as a kid. I mean, like sometimes it's fun to be the bad guy.
All right.
Does that help?
That's your question.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys all helped in your own ways.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Or also put like the town laws on the on the billboard as they walk into town. Murder is bad here.
Hello.
No
Hi.
sleep.
Hey,
Hi.
Hello.
so how's the engagement ring fit on the gauntlet?
Really well, actually. It goes
Slots right
like a glove, like he was made for it.
It's almost like it's actually a glove.
Screw you, I'm engaged. I can say what I want.
Terrible.
Damn.
So one kind of fun question for the recently engaged couple,
Yes.
and then one actual serious, like actual kind of cry for help.
Okay.
But I'll get to that. So if your engagement ring that you were giving to the other person was one of the Infinity Stones,
Oh boy.
which one would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Do we have
I'm trying to think what you would need.
Do we have a half hour for this?
I
I'd
want
give
the
you
Power
reality.
Stone.
I would
That's
trust
Welcome
you
to
with
the
reality.
Infinity
You
Stone
give me
TED
reality?
Talk.
Yeah.
Is this just because of Scion?
No, it's because I love you.
Oh.
Aww.
You are his everything.
Fucking adorable.
Oh, which one would I give you? That's so hard.
Yeah, but then you have to rip the stole thing out of Vision's face.
Which is worth it.
It's just morbid.
That was worth it. That character was terrible.
I'd either give you time
Oh, that's dangerous.
or mind?
That's even more dangerous.
Oh boy, there's no way to win here. All of them
Neither
are
of those
dangerous.
should be in my hand.
You will give me all your money. I will give you all your
It's like,
money.
I'm going to go back in time and I'm going to change shit.
Yeah, I'd either give you time or mind. One or the other.
So, D&D related question. I done goofed.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I've been there.
A bunch of my friends who have never played tabletop before were like, hey, you've DM'd D&D before, can you start a game for us? And I was like, what's the great way to get these guys into it? Okay, I know that everybody is super into Disney movies. So I've always had this alternate universe canon in my head where basically putting together a team of like Disney Princess Avengers.
Okay. Cool.
That sounds
And so I was
awesome.
like, okay, I'm going to run this one shot. It's going to be really fun. I took the person with the most social anxiety in the group and centered the entire story around them, pretty much making them gun shy instantly.
Yep, that happens.
Okay.
So
I've been there.
when I created the actual game, he's like, I don't think I'm going to... And so I think I may have turned him off of tabletop, and I'm wondering, is there a way to recover this? Because I think that he'd really enjoy it if he gave it another shot.
Are you continuing with this campaign or are you starting over?
So I've started just like a D&D 5th ed.
Okay.
So the Disney campaign itself is done.
Okay. Just let him in. Let him be what he wants. Is it a he? Is this person?
It is a he.
This person identifies as a he. Let that person in. Just say, hey, I'm starting up again. And don't give them plot at first.
Okay.
Let them find their feet. Let them learn the mechanics first. Because for shy players, becoming important while you're learning the rules is too much. When they start racking up wins, you can have things happen to them and happen around them, but introduce it in very small, minimal ways that they can see where it's going to go, and they see the potential of what it can be, but it hasn't happened yet.
So if he's gun shy to the point where he's like, I don't want to create a character, like he's like I want nothing
wow.
to do with this.
Try to one-on-one them.
Yeah, one-on-one is a better way to try and open up to words. Sorry, I also have to.
It's all right. We were busy last night.
Yeah.
Oh man.
With the game you all saw.
What a brag.
So what happened was when Mike and I were actually starting to
Weird brag.
when Mike and I were starting to actually integrate me into the group, he did take me off to the side and actually did a bunch of one-on-one games. Because the thing is that at that point, I was the gun shy, very very antisocial player because of the fact that I liked plot, but I didn't want to be the person who took all the plot away, which scares me now with Devin and his Pendragon campaign. And I have to talk to him about that. But anyway, but Mike took me aside and he's like, okay, I'm going to run you through a game. It's just going to be you, okay? But that's because there's nobody else playing and it's going to be fine, right? Just trust me. And it ended up being one of the best RPG sessions that I've ever had in my entire life. I'm not kidding you guys. This is the moment where I found out that I was in love with them. So
Guys are
You
awful.
are adorable.
So it's one of those things where it's a lot easier to get somebody who's really kind of gun shy when you have them on a one-on-one setting, because then they're not pressured to do anything else with anybody else. They don't have to be pressured to interact with anybody else. It's just you and them, and that's it, right? And you can just slowly integrate everything that you want to do, and it's great.
Yeah, I've never considered like a one-on-one
Yeah.
D&D session, so I'll give that a shot. Thank you guys.
No worries.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it
Hello.
going?
Oh.
You might want to move the mic up, man.
Okay. So I'm really looking forward to the Fallout campaign next year.
Thank God.
Good. If
Yeah.
somebody doesn't do the...
Thank you, Tyler.
If someone doesn't use the bloody mess perk, then you're probably doing it wrong, in my opinion.
I have to figure out how to integrate that in, but yes.
So two things.
Yeah.
This probably won't happen for obvious reasons, but I think it would be a great idea for the guest
person next year to beat Liam Neeson. I doubt it will happen for obvious reasons.
You're gonna have
Dude,
to talk
there's
to
a
the
long list of people before I get Liam Neeson on this table that I have wanted to have on this table.
The closing ceremonies is going to be right after our panel. If you wanna talk to them about guests, just go right ahead.
How is ConBravo going to get them? Get him?
I don't know. I've been asking for Vin Diesel for years, and I'm just waiting for that to get cashed in one day and be like, hey, Mike, we had the money. Nut up or shut up.
No, Nicolas Cage. We refuse.
It's going to be an assassination. Do you have any other questions? Or?
So
We just have to promise him a bad role.
in
He'll show up.
another game I'm in, it's a D&D game, and recently our group found ourselves in a situation where essentially it has become a post-apocalyptic survival game.
Okay.
Nice.
Basically, we're in an abandoned settlement, and an ancient dragon is on its way, and we don't know when. And now we're basically prepping. We're essentially acting like the A-team, using whatever the hell we find. I'm just curious on other systems or games and such where to utilize the survival rules and settings, because I don't feel like D&D has much that would focus on that exactly.
That's fair to say, I think.
Pathfinder has Ultimate Wilderness, but every single person on my Discord fucking hates it. You've seen those arguments. Old D&D, because of how the rule system is, has Dark Sun, which is so fucking brutal. It's not fun.
It is a post-apocalyptic setting.
Completely, in a fantasy one.
With an ancient dragon.
I'm trying to think what else is really conducive.
Dark Sun was so rough that we ended up going to the demi-plane of dread, and we're like, this place is awesome.
Better.
Like it is terrible in Dark Sun.
I'm trying to think what other games
do I
have
have
a
clothes?
strong
There's
emphasis
the
on
hole.
I had to kill a man for his
human-operated
clothes.
landfill. That's a rough system. You need the right game master to make that work. I'm trying to think what else, guys. I'm trying to think what else, because D20 Modern has its Apocalypse source book. There's one RPG that was actually done for Fallout, which is Fallout with the serial numbers basically filed off because the copyright got screwed up. Yeah, I'm not kidding. That's what happened. But I've seen so many criticisms of it. I'm trying to think which has a really strong. You know what? It's not coming to me. Tell you what. Come to the D20 Live Discord. We're gonna keep working on this past this panel because I legitimately do not have a good answer for that.
Yeah, I'd be all over that.
I feel like a lot of these systems are just things based off of really popular franchises with all the serial numbers filed off, because no one wants
Let's
to
see.
get
D&D is Lord of the Rings with the serial numbers filed off.
And then
Cyberpunk is William Gibson with the file and the serial numbers filed off.
Shadowrunner's Blade Runner.
The serial numbers
serial
filed off.
Yep.
With magic thrown in for some reason. Deadlands is fun. No, Deadlands. I don't think Deadlands is derived from anything. But yeah, no, sorry, we don't actually have a good answer for that.
All right.
We'll come
Thanks
up
very
with
much,
something. Join our Discord. We'll get something for you.
We only lightly verbally abuse people there. It's fine.
Hello. Oh no.
Tyler,
Mike. It's mostly Tyler.
He's got.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I just wanted to thank you for all the hard work that you put in to make D&D Live,
D20 Live.
D20 Live happen, because it's always the best part of the con for me.
Thank
And
you so much.
I enjoyed it. This year was really fantastic, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much for enjoying it. I'm glad.
You're
You guys-
welcome.
You guys coming out and supporting us just by
Yeah.
even being here is so critical. We super appreciate it. It really is a big deal.
Oh yeah.
Hi. So,
Hi.
since you said you were doing Fallout,
Yeah.
and if I remember my Fallout history correctly, Fallout was actually, the original was actually based off the RPG. I think it was either Wasteland or GURPS. So,
Wasteland, I believe, is derived from it, because the problem is the system it was originally going to be in was in GURPS, but Steve Jackson was stupid, as the story has been reached back to me, and and was really stingy about how the rights for that went down. So what became the special system that was in Fallout 1 got incredibly repurposed to make to be more conducive for a video game.
and I know some people who might be interested in, like, some first-time players who, well, potentially might be interested in a game. So, do you is GURPS new player friendly?
No. GURPS sounds new player friendly. until you get about 3 paragraphs into it, and then you start crying because you wanted it to be better.
Yeah,
And
even D&D
Jesus,
isn't
so
that new
dramatic.
player friendly either, but like, we'll
at least there's ways.
There's ways to do it, but.
But yeah, no, GURPS is designed to be whatever you want it to be, but you have to know what you're doing when you're going into it because there are so many skills in GURPS. There's literally a skill devoted to shooting people with a blowgun. I
Just
know.
a blowgun.
I don't know why you need it, but you got it.
Well, for shenaniganry, really.
Yeah, really, right?
It's like I'll shoot with this dart that makes you poop yourself for 6 hours. Like,
Do you have any advice for?
it's like, what's that useful for a
Any
concept?
advice, so any advice for new players?
Like a system, another system. that might
We've
work?
got a bunch of them up there.
Yeah.
Lasers
isn't
and
the
feelings and new type are actually really easy for new players because of the fact that the rules are only 1 page.
If you have a group that really just wants to role play, I strongly recommend Fiasco because Fiasco teaches you how failure can be fun.
All right, thank you very much.
But yeah.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hello.
2 questions. This one's really quick. The first one's really quick. Have you guys ever heard of a system called Blades in the Dark?
Yeah.
Yes, I have a copy in my bag.
Oh, nice. Out of curiosity, I picked up a copy and I haven't played a game yet. I'm just wondering what your takes on it so far.
I actually haven't had a chance to enjoy it. Dave, you'd be the expert on this one.
Well, I really enjoy how it has you plan your hideout, your turf, and then you through your missions you can push back other gangs' turf, and it becomes this living map of your holdings and like your resource things, like if you have an apothecary or a healer
Or a
in
psyker
your-
or whatever the thing
yeah.
was called. Yeah.
And then there's this great planning mechanic.
Oh, yeah. I read the planning mechanic. That's I heard about the planning mechanic, and that's exactly why I bought the game.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
oh, hey, yeah, it's just like a heist film. Oh, here's a flashback of us setting up a whore hand.
Yep. And it's like the A team going down. Here's how it's going to go down, and then you go through going down. The go down.
So yeah, I'm glad to hear that's really fun, and I'll hopefully get a game going at some point.
It's good fun.
My second question comes down to mostly playing characters. To make a long story short, I'm in a 3.5 game. Yes, God, it's a mess.
It's okay. It's all right.
It would be.
Remember, it could be worse.
I know, it could be much worse. It could be
It could be
4
third
even.
ed. It could be fourth.
Yeah, but I like haste in that one. I'm strong in that. Anyways, but I plan to have a character arc happen at some point, and I'm more worried about how I'm able to role play the sudden difference after God knows how many years playing X character a certain way.
My golden rule for characters, and this has seen me very well, is you can write all of the backstory in the world. It will not do you half as well as one character personality trait. And I usually work backwards from that. I try to think of what works within the environment of the group. They agree. I think about
Enthusiastically.
I know, right? I think about what will stand out without dominating, and then sometimes they just end up dominating, and then I ask myself, how does that person come to be?
Yeah.
Because when you work backwards from people don't identify with a logical backstory because a logical backstory takes intellect to consume. They identified with something emotionally. It's why everyone fell in love with Lee, or as we've now renamed him, Stan, really quickly, because it wasn't what happened to him, it was, I don't want Mom to yell at me again today. And that's all you need.
That was sinister.
That
Like I said,
galvanized the players
I'm doing pretty well with my
instantly.
character. It's more the character change afterwards because I'm trying to have the end of an arc. It's basically.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I have a perfectly good character solid, but it's changing him, which is the problem. It's more I'm worried about backsliding into my old character, old character traits.
I find that if you have a prop of some kind, it helps you keep focus on which character you're playing. Because I have a lot of characters that sometimes can kind of cross over. But at the same time, it's a lot easier if you have like a prop, or you pretend to have a prop. Like,
Kind of like Inception.
yeah, it's the conception of having what kind of thing that character would have. Because if you pretend to have that thing, then it's a lot easier to pretend to be that person.
I literally have different hats I put on.
There you go.
Right on.
Like I said, it's one single character. It's just I'm having an arc and character change for him. It's just I don't know how to. Basically, I don't want him to backslide into his old thing outside of a few here and there. I'm just worried about how to play that out. Yeah, like basically character development's a pain in the ass. So.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Tough.
Right, but at that point, we're at that point, it's just really.
Remember who you are.
Yes.
Remember what brought you to this point.
There you go.
And remember what changed you.
Yep.
That's the big key.
All right.
All right, thank you very much.
So we have a question for you people now because we're starting to run low on time. We can either, if you guys want us to do the RPG GMing the audience thing, we will do that. Okay, hang on. That's really
You see the
scattered.
daggers you're getting right now?
Or you guys can keep asking us questions. Pick something, guys.
So, do you want to keep answering questions? Because we know that there's a couple people here.
Yeah.
Right? Or
We GM you all.
do you want to GM the audience?
How about we do?
All right, so if you're in the lineup now, we're going to go rapid fire through you guys, and we're going to GM you guys through a fast as balls campaign
All right.
as a group. So
We're gonna
come
get
on
through
up.
you guys.
No pressure.
If you run out of time,
So first off,
yeah.
last night, like everything about it, absolutely amazing. The game itself, plus the double proposal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm actually like a first time GM. GM.
You call whatever you want. Wizards doesn't know you.
So right now, like, we're doing the starter set of Lost Mines of Phandelver, but I've told my players, like, okay, afterwards we're actually going to start pirating, so I just kind of want to know how to kind of shift it from being on land to sea, going back to land.
Devin's really good at this, and I'm
Like-
mad he's not here.
What, Devin is?
Yes.
There's two ways you can do it. You can either do it very gradually, or you can throw their boat at land, break the boat, and say, survive.
Try and fix your boat, guys.
I feel that's your answer to everything.
That's because I'm a monster.
I want to repair the boat. There's not enough left.
The best thing I can say is if you want to introduce players to a new game state, look at when you have played a video game and that worked for you. When the core of the environment you were dealt with and how that was introduced to you, and steal the trick.
Worst case scenario.
I feel like there's something you said for being heavy-handed with stuff, because life is often heavy-handed in how it delivers situations to you.
Worst case
It's like,
scenario.
your ship just exploded for some reason. Nobody knows
Stop
why. There
interrupting
you go.
Sam.
It's okay. It's worst case scenario, sewer level. You know, it always works. It's half and half.
Okay. I also have this thing about, like, I want to incorporate some of my characters' backstories, because some of their points and their backstories are, like, pretty heavy hit. The Gitsurai, I hope I pronounced that right, who is looking for a family member. I have another character who's Tabaxi, and she's looking for her tribe members. And they're all, like, splattered all over the place. Even one character's from Kantai in Faerun. And that's, like, Middle East, basically.
Well,
So that's just also kind of
How to
reaching out
integrate all
there.
of them together? Mike, you tend to be very good at doing this because you just unite them all via demon.
Yeah.
I already brought them all together. It's just a matter of, like, having those parts of their stories kind of close.
Well, people in a fantasy setting, they like NPCs, they tend to travel because trade has to happen somehow. So, like, if there's backstory over here, you know, people travel out to get goods that aren't produced in that region. So, if you're coming across a Tabaxi tradesman who may have a rumor or something,
Okay.
or maybe actually related to something that they were present, or
refugees fleeing something.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
People move.
All the time.
Migration is a thing.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
I just want to say it's very recent that I found out about your stuff. Put down your pitchforks.
Thank
Welcome,
you.
welcome.
And I just have two quick questions for you. Cause,
Yeah.
One, it's just about regular D&D. What was the most favorite class you think you can ever play?
My favorite class?
Yeah, sorry.
Ninja.
Ninja?
Pathfinder, ninja, best class ever, end of sentence. You guys?
I like that
fucking
answer.
ninja, man.
I like that answer. I'm not a fan.
Jesus Christ, my favorite class. I have a really good time with. Honestly, that's that paladin I made that one time. Stonelord
Stonelord
Dwarf
Paladin, yeah,
Love being
Pathfinder.
dwarf is the most fun. I
Wasn't he
have
named
been-
Ragnar Lothbrok?
No, that was something else. I've been locked in a half-elf druid for...
Because I won't let you die.
You won't let me die. Been resurrected twice. He won't let me go. And druids are a lot of fun too. I'm finding that there's a ton of variety. You can build it however you want and still do literally anything. It's just how min-maxed do you want to be with casting versus being a raging monster of an animal. I mean, it depends on what you want to do. So you're like, sometimes I want to shoot lightning and stuff, and sometimes I want to rip someone apart as a dire tiger. It just, you have, like, however your whimsy feels. It's great.
Ranger all the way.
Yeah. Digs it.
You know, I am the man who brings the thunder. I am a walking howitzer. I am the man who blots out the sun. You will die in the shade.
It's that many arrows.
I feel like Ranger gets a bad rap.
I love bards. Bards are fun. I love talking and I
They're
love
a good
singing
time.
and I love making Mike's life harder with sometimes. 'Cause-
I used to have enemy encounters. Now I have diplomacy rolls.
Yes.
Bards are a hell of a thing where they seem so innocuous and then they just turn into this monster when they hit a certain level.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's
it's
great.
just like, where did this come from? And like, you can't stop the rolling tide at this point. Bards are so weird like that.
There's
Hey.
something I want, and I'm going to bend you over
Yeah.
backwards.
We have so many more
Yeah, sorry.
I'm trying to
Sorry.
speak. I'm a new DM. I'm doing a one-shot, and I'm just wondering if you guys have any tips for
one
somebody
shots?
who's just starting out.
For one shots, do one shots. Really try to find your party.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to swap people in and out until you find a group that somehow works really well
Okay.
together. And know that you are going to make a lot of mistakes and forgive yourself for those mistakes, because trust me, you're going to look back in 5, 10, 20 years and say, I can't believe I used to play like that. And you will be you'll be better for it knowing that journey is coming for you.
And just have fun.
Yeah, have fun, man.
If you can't be stuck in an elevator for 6 hours with these people.
Again.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
To be honest, well, actually, hold on. Let me restart. First of all, I've been up here a few times. Thank you for all the advice I've gotten over the years. It's actually saved a lot of problems in my campaign.
That's good.
So now this one's on a totally different track because it's like 90% for Sam.
Oh, okay.
But not all of it. Because it is an RPG related, but I'm turning Super Robot Wars into a tabletop game.
Oh, okay.
What?
Why the hell is that 90% Sam? I introduced her to Super Robot Wars.
Wonderful. Great, you can help too. Because
It's called Battle Century G, dude. Have you not looked
Oh
it
yes, I did. I looked up a ton of stuff for mecha stuff and like converting it. I'll go over this more. But the point is, you guys have a Discord and you're
Yeah.
reachable there.
There's no more.
Okay, because I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna be asking for some help on this.
That's what it's for.
Yeah, and therefore just quick thing. Gao Gai Gar, favorite character.
My favorite person in Gal Geiger?
Yes.
Guy.
Okay. Yeah.
Obviously, Guy and any of the Brave Robos, because they are giant robots who go into space and talk. It's the best fucking thing. Exactly. And Volfog is so sweet. I love him. No, well, Volfog is a protector. That's what he does. And Choryujin is my baby, and I love him, and I'm so sad about everything that happens to him.
He killed the dinosaurs. He's a hero.
I'm sure those were words that Sam was saying.
Watch Gao Gai Gar. It's good.
I just
Give it
tapped
a
out.
go.
I have no idea.
Thank
Thank you very much. Oh, hi.
Hi again.
back.
So sorry.
Hey.
Just if I could get a quick story from all of you. I had a really proud DM moment a week ago where one of the player characters said, like, and I quote, "There's no right answer to this," and I was like, "You're goddamn right, there isn't." So like, what's your like, I guess like proud DM moment or like a moment where like someone said that where like there wasn't a good choice?
My favorite proud DM moment.
The space burrito in my maid game.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ.
For people who don't watch us online, you really should, because I fucking love that space burrito. Because I made all of these guys sit there, and they're like, we're talking to a giant burrito in space, and it's telepathically talking to us about beans.
There was art done for it.
It was
landed in George Clooney's pool.
Kiefer Sutherland. Landed in Kiefer
Sutherland's
Sutherland's
pool.
pool, because it's big. So, I just fucking love the giant space burrito.
fucking love that burrito.
My absolute favorite was actually in a game of Curse of the Crimson Throne, where the players had gone through about 2 modules, and they'd been winning left, right, and center. And if you know Curse of the Crimson Throne, Pathfinder, you're basically fighting against the queen, but you can't openly go up against her because she's the fucking queen. And one of her lieutenants goes to Sam's character, recognizes her because she has this long backstory of being a noble whose family got killed.
And she's running
And
away.
she'd never told the group as a whole about it. And he just looks at her and says her real name. And with this voice, "Hello, Diana. I hope you haven't gotten over our last encounter.
It's still
I
fucking
hope
messed
you
with
don't
me.
forget me. Promise me you haven't, Diana." And it was just this whole moment of the entire group went, fuck.
Yeah, because then they're like, what do you mean Diana? What do you mean you know her? Wait a minute.
And this just profound moment of, after all their victories, that they had just suddenly just went from being confident to battle ready to kill this guy. And it's just like, you guys don't want to do this. But I was really happy with that. How about you guys?
I've never DM'd anything before.
You will. You will. You have requested, and the fans have want to see it.
I've flirted with the idea a number of times. I would love to do like a Miami Vice style RPG because that sounds great.
Hell yeah.
What's your proudest player moment then?
My proudest player moment?
Sure.
I don't know.
Was it the gun salesman guy?
The gun salesman.
Yeah, the gun salesman guy,
Shadowrun.
Shadowrun.
Okay, so that was probably the first time I've ever gotten that kind of reaction from a character. I played a character in Shadowrun where my character was terrible at fighting, terrible at everything except selling people shit. That's what he did. He was a roving merchant in the future, and he managed to get it to the point where we were in a gunfight, and I hacked the people who were shooting us. I hacked their weapons so that they stopped working. They had to input their credit card information in order to reactivate their weapons, and then they had to then purchase their ammunition from me during the combat. There were, and so I was like crowd controlling them by basically throwing like terms of service agreements, end user license agreements, like just all sorts, like pages and pages of documentation. Like, if you agree to this, you agree to purchase only from me, and and I had a bag, like a sack of gear. I would actively sell them flak jackets during combat while they're shooting at us and we're shooting back at them. Like, I see that you're using the whatever armor. I've got a better one in here. It's only 300 credits. And I'd throw it over at them. They'd equip it, and we'd still keep fighting. Like, like it just. I love doing shit that I've never seen before. Anything, like, I loathe cliche stuff. I try to go away from it as fast as possible. And so then this is why I love throwing just wackadoodle shit at Mike, because he's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Why do you have an Ivory Derringer, you weird fuck?
Ivory Derringers, one shot a piece. They explode in my hand every time I do it because they're 100% ivory. So why not? Because I can.
Somehow the bullet makes it out of the barrel and it just bursts in his hands. Like a player moment?
Your favorite player moment or DM moment?
I can't remember. It's a blank slate right now.
All right.
I will. No.
Sorry.
Here's mine for you.
Oh.
Because there's no way I'm letting this one go without a fight. There was a game in our Kingmaker game that we were having fun in.
Yep.
And you found this thing. It's called an ebon fly, which is a very classic D&D
Oh,
item. Where it's just
no.
a small ebony fly that becomes the size of a horse.
And
you
it
fly
flies.
it. And I just watched him say, just adopt this thing so quickly
So you
as
know
his
how-
mode of transportation. Because he's like, so does it fly like this and go, yeah? Does it make, are its wings really loud like an attack helicopter? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like.
So
So he uses it to buzz enemy towers.
And then
he's just flying around.
And then he fucking like shoots his arrows, so he's literally an Apache helicopter just shooting things. Everything's destroyed, and you're like, well, that happened.
Except it's disgusting to fly.
It's a housefly the size of a dumpster. It's terrifying. like the smell coming off of that thing must be the worst. Like I don't even know.
Last question.
Last question, then we gotta get to
Additional Dave, what's up?
First of all, you are a monster for tearing the skull off of him.
How did they let you in
apologize.
here?
I really like this, though.
How did they let you in here?
Hi, Dave.
Hi. Okay, so just gonna do this one real quick. Mike might not be able to answer this question because it's story
Okay.
bit. A world that you would want to have happen in D20 Live.
Transformers.
Well, okay, yeah, that's obvious, but
That was not the loaded question you thought it was. I've wanted to do Transformers for years. The reason why I had a hard time with it was because Transformers is very near and dear to my heart. So much so that I was like, hey guys, here's all this really steep lore that's well thought out. And they're like, we just want to blow up shit back in, not with these guys, but with a different group that I'm not with anymore. But yeah, I've always wanted to go back and do that setting justice because I'm known to be a relatively good game master, and me and D, shut the fuck up. It took me years to call myself relatively good, you sack of shit.
You're a fantastic GM.
Thank you.
But we love busting your chops.
Anyway, but yeah, Transformers.
I want to get Persona because I ran the guys through a Persona game
really
and
good. It was
they
fun.
fucking love it. I was trying to make it more of like the theming of the Four Musketeers. It didn't end up like that. It became Journey to the West really quick. It's close enough.
So good.
But it was so fucking good that Devin insists that I have to do this as a long game, and I'm like, yes, I want it to be a long game.
I've got one.
Go.
Homeworld Deserts of Karach.
Ooh, throwback.
I love it.
So for context, what is Homeworld's Desert of Karach for people who do not know?
So where?
What is that for people who do not know?
People that don't know, that's it's the Homeworld franchise where it's like a 3D space combat game, but this is like the prologue where you are. Are you Googling it?
No, we're prepping because we have to GM these people in literally 6 minutes.
Sorry. And yeah, it's
very Dune.
Desert Dune. The resources have run out on this planet, and you have these massive ground vehicles where that are like the only way to survive.
It's kind of like Dune meets Battlestar Galactica. It's really quite cool. Like very finite resources, very.
And you have like this monster ground aircraft carrier that looks like the shuttle crawler to go to the launch pad, except really actually fast.
It's really quite neat.
Jordan, yours?
What I've always wanted. Jesus, we do everything I always want. I insist that we do until I won't shut up.
To be fair, I did 40K, and that's basically your jam.
I literally
And I shot the Emperor.
You son of a bitch. I'm still not over that.
Oh my God! When you got the Emperor's personal Titan, you shat yourself.
Fuck, I hate.
Anyway, dude.
Okay. I think that like Miami Vice RPG would be super rad. It's going to be ridiculous and out of control. Everyone's going to have aviators and a mustache, like everybody.
And like a salmon blazer.
Everything.
And tight white pants.
Everything has neon on it, regardless of what's going on. All vehicles are convertibles, like garbage trucks and shit. Everything's a convertible. Like. It's perpetually twilight. The sun never comes up nor goes down.
It's
really
shades
wanna
of
like
purple,
that.
pink, and
We got to bring this question to an end
Yeah,
because
sorry.
we have to GM you guys. Sam, how much time do I have left?
Thank you, additional Dave.
I can GM a crowd in 7 minutes. Are you all ready? All right, so let's do this the way we always do. One, do you want either sci-fi or fantasy? Sci-fi. Fantasy. It's fantasy. Now, are we doing high fantasy or low fantasy? Quick, high fantasy. Low fantasy. High fantasy. Cool.
Is this continuation from last year or a new game? Continuation?
what the hell did we do last year?
Nope.
All right.
All right. So last year when we left off, Sam, can you summarize really quickly where we left off?
Last time on D20 Live is GM'd by the audience. Basically what happened was that we had two characters. We had Tarask, the tiefling bard, who had absolutely no fucking charisma whatsoever. And we also had Charlotte from our first year, the barbarian fire wizard?
Yeah, she was... Jordan.
With
we'll be
spiders.
NPCs.
So basically what happened was that eventually Tarask, the tiefling bard, ended up trying to make the cult of the tiny dragon, which didn't end up happening, and it became the cult of Arcada instead.
Yipe.
And Charlotte ended up becoming the cult leader of the tiny dragon. At which point also Cthulhu was involved for some reason, but it didn't quite happen that way.
So we are now in a town with 2 cults and Cthulhu. How will this escalate? That depends entirely on the character you get. Do you want to play a fighter type character?
Nope,
Do you want
I guess
to
not.
play a rogue type character? Do you want to play a wizard type character?
Nope.
One person!
I'm so sorry for that one woo in the back.
Or do you want to play a more talky diplomatic type character? Cool. So you want to be at least, you want to be rogue focused. Now,
Stabby,
do you
stabby.
want to be a rogue with, let's say, a ranger's qualities? Do you want to be just a straight up ganking, murder, hobo, cheap as balls thief who's gonna... That was
I'll take
pretty
that as a
definitively
yes.
decided. So our character will be a high dex character, obviously, as a rogue. Now, does our rogue use poisons? Does our rogue use knives? Does our rogue run around in a really stupid outfit and monologue to themselves endlessly about what they do?
You walked into this one, Mike.
With a knife, okay.
With a
I feel like you're going to be
knife.
pretty familiar with this character.
Just shut the fuck up. They chose. I'm following what the crowd wants. So,
I can't get notepad
Incoming
working, so
Kevin
I'm just
with
gonna
a
do it on my
knife.
phone.
all right. So, our rogue, our bold. Oh, by the way, gender: male, female. Just doesn't have a gender identification at all. It was a little harder for females, so we're gonna go with that. Our lovely lady thief, rogue in the night, is monologuing as she runs across rooftops, for there are 2 cults in the land. So she has to decide who she's going to rob. The
Bravo.
cult of the tiny dragon. Okay.
No, we like
or
that- we like that one.
The cult of Arcada.
The cult of Arcada.
Burn it to the ground.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. You heading to do your stuff?
I'm stretching.
Oh, fair enough. So we are we are robbing the cult of Arcada. Gentlemen, I actually want a contribution from one of you two. What would you like to see in the cult of Arcada as an opposition for this character?
Someone with a whip.
A whip. All right. You guys like that? So when we arrive at the cult of Arcada, it's a lovely, let's say a 2-story warehouse that's nondescript and hidden, but has a lot of really cool shit on the inside.
A lot of cool shit.
We have to sneak in, of course. Do we go in through the front door? Fine.
Guess not.
Do we go in through a side door? Do we go in through the fucking skylight? All right.
You have to.
All right. So Sam, you have the stats worked
It's
up, correct?
required.
So let's give him a plus 5 in dexterity, at
Okay.
least. Let's give him a plus 5 in lock picking. They
we're
have
stealing
absolutely
shit, not
0
trick-or-treating,
skills in
right?
talking to people. Such a year 1 callback.
She steals hearts.
Yeah.
Aww.
Aww.
Anyway.
Let's see
And
what
then
else.
pierces them.
Let's give her a plus 2 in knife play, period, because they weren't really hot for that, and I think that's pretty good for now.
Yep, it's good.
Let's set the average DC at about 10 for most things, and let's see how this works out.
All right.
So, you have to, of course, climb up the side of the building, which will go under the normal dexterity agility, which gives them a plus 5. Do they make it?
15!
15!
Do
She
super well.
scales up the side of the building.
That's a nice dice roller.
But is it trapped? What kind of traps do you two want to see on the side of this building that would impede this person?
Bees!
Well, fucking bees, obviously.
Bees.
Hang on,
Spiders.
bees?
Spider bees.
Spider bees?
Spider bees.
Spider bees are along the side of the wall.
That's horrifying.
And this lady wonders why she didn't notice them on her first ascent. So she climbs along. How shall we negate the spiders? Shall we?
I don't know. I'm at a
Spider
loss
bees.
at this point. There's spider bees. Fuck this.
With knife play?
Oh my God.
With knife. Okay, gang on.
I want to see this.
Just straight up trying to acrobatics past them.
Hardcore parkour.
Or are we going to simultaneously, systematically just knife every fucking bee? Sam, roll. You got a +2.
I've seen that done with a drone. It's funny as hell.
Oh
wow.
Yes. With a
Yes.
With a precision envied by the gods, she just systematically goes,
into our poorly constructed bees.
Until there are no more spider bees left to be had in the world.
Sounds
and
like my rope
ascends to the
Tensa.
roof where the skylight is. How much time do I got left?
We're at time, so
Cool.
let's go. Five more
So we have to
minutes.
get the whip chick. So, however, the sound of her knifing bees attracted the attention of this whip wielder who goes and challenges them to a fight on a rooftop. And of course, we must battle. Now, how are we going to do this? Are we going to sneak, or are we just going to straight up resort to knifing? Sneak?
Sneaking.
Knifing? Let's knife!
Knife! Oh,
Wait, no,
hold on.
she's at 10.
Yeah,
She's
so
that
she
close.
rushes up. The whip slashes at her left and right, but she goes in and cuts the whip.
Uh-oh.
But this was a hereditary family whip passed down from one generation to the next.
Oh, you just made her
and
angry.
the character is
Oh.
significantly more demoralized and runs off crying.
Oh. Okay then.
I have no time left to summarize this.
Oh, okay.
Go.
So, because this was the only guard they had,
We never
plus
said
the
this
beast,
cult was well funded at all.
the warehouse is left open for our protagonists to plunder and pillage for the course of however much time before the con shuts me down.
Since I am
that's
the
it.
stage
I'm out of
manager.
time, aren't
Well,
I?
hang on. We gotta have the tiefling bard come in at some point too, because
Are we doing that now?
Yeah, let's do it right now.
All right, so the tiefling bard, who is not good at talking, shows up and does her role to say stop.
It's just a stop.
So it says, stop that!
Or I'll seduce you.
So we will roll to resist the seduction.
What character? That's a hell of a threat.
Oh,
no. And the relationship blossoms.
A new love has bloomed.
Yes.
Can love bloom on the battlefield?
It can, and it has. So, I don't know where we've gone.
This is how thieves guilds form.
War never
See, the
changes.
tiefling bard ask. The tiefling bard goes, "I like your moxie, kid. Would you like to join the cult of Arcata?"
So we have to roll to see that they don't join the cult.
Do they?
Yeah, they 10. This was talking, which
Meets
is
and
5.
beats.
Yeah, so a long and protracted conversation about the nuances of cult joining has erupted. And because I have no time, I have to summarize that. I have to wrap this up
Yes,
somehow.
you do.
So, as the sun rises on a new day, two new lovers are discussing the nuances of their relationship, about the virtues of being or not being within a cult. As they try to work out this new relationship, and like all relationships, there must be a compromise between cult and not cult, and thief and bad bard.
And that is definitely stabbing Cthulhu.
You didn't name it.
You want to name it now?
Go ahead.
Flump.
Fluff.
Flump the rogue.
Fluff.
Flunk
McPoof.
Flunk McPoof.
That's
Okay.
what I heard.
I'll write that down.
Since it was the only suggestion, it's the one we're taking.
Yeah, we're done, because
We're
I have
done.
run out of time.
That's how I name all my characters too.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
If you have suggestions for ConBravo, I encourage you to line up for the ConBravo closing ceremonies, which will be happening right after this. But we have to help the con staff clear the room, offload things. If you would like a Kinder Surprise egg from D20 Live that we stole from Nash. Hey.
There are 3 in a box.
Pop them
Please
open, spread them around.
Yeah. You're not
Share.
getting 3.
Share.
Don't be a monster. Man, I wanted one.
Great, thank you very much, guys. Please come back for the ConBravo closing ceremonies.
Well, you know what you have to do. You got to go buy some Kinder Surprise. Sorry, bud.
Thanks
You
for
walked
coming,
into that
guys.
one.
Really appreciate it.
See you next time.
That was good fun. Bye, everybody. We should do this more often.